And we're very excited today to have a special teacher on. Her name is Elizabeth Mattis Namgyel. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So very excited to have you guide a practice. What we'll do is, like I said, we'll have a little chat, and then we'll get you to guide like a 5-minute practice, and then we'll have a chance for people to leave comments. And if you're interested in leaving a comment, you can leave one on the side. It should be, you'll see on the side, there's a little comment section. You can ask a question, and Elizabeth will have an opportunity to answer that. So today you wanted to talk about the power of imagination.
Yes, I did.
Can you say a little bit about that? Because for me, that's very intriguing, how this fits into meditation.
Well, I think that to do meditation, we use our imagination a lot. So that was one of the reasons. And the guided meditation I want to do requires we use our imagination. So I thought it would be a good way to set that up. But I also felt that, we're all, most of us are home sheltering. Many of us are out in the world and having to do what we need to do right now. But it's like there's a tendency, I think, for people to feel very stuck or doomed. And I think that imagination helps us see the possibilities in life so that we understand that things are not limited to what we think of them. And I was saying earlier that imagination is really a very unique human superpower that we have.
It's nice to hear you talk about it this way, because sometimes in meditation there can be such a focus on just bare sensations, or you're not supposed to elaborate any details. You're supposed to just see things as they are. And so this invitation to use this other part of us it's different. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. And I think we'll see that even when we do the most basic meditations, like watching the breath, we actually use the imagination quite a lot.
Can you say a little bit more about that, like how imagination plays into a meditation practice?
Well, for example, when we're watching the breath, and I say to you, focus, bring your mind, your attention onto the breath, then the whole idea of breath, we have some sort of at least vague idea of what that is. And we have probably a visual image, like it allows us to connect and recall. Recollection is also imagination. It's like when we recall something, we're not really recalling the actual event, but we're recalling a memory. And it's different all the time. And so it's interesting. I think that it brings so much richness to life to think about imagination. For example, I was asking some people yesterday, we can do this together, and whoever is watching this can also do it, to just for a moment, when I ask you to imagine the world, just notice what comes to your mind. So what came to your mind?
I literally pictured like the little blue ball, from space.
Blue marble. It's different every time I do it. So when I asked you to do that, I also imagine something, and I imagine crowds of people walking in a big city. So it's interesting because like this world that we think is so real and so true is actually an enormous place. And every time we think of it, we imagine something different. And every aspect of this globe or this world that we live on, every inch of this earth is different, and it's changing and it's dynamic all the time. So this way of kind of looking at what we think is true and real is actually always imagination is mixed with it. Imagination is a part of everything we do. And even before we have an intention, we have to have some kind of imagination. It's like, even, I don't know, I always think of how agriculture started. First, maybe somebody watched a bird eat a little and they didn't die. So somebody thought, oh, it must not be poisonous. What if, I took this little seed? And then it's like everything that happens to us in our life has imagination mixed in. So imagination is very much a part of how we practically live. And it can be so appreciated and used as a tool in meditation, very much so.
Well, I'm excited to see what this will look like. So maybe we should do a little practice and use our imaginations, and then we'll have I should say, just before we get started, I forgot to say at the very beginning that you yourself have a new podcast that you started up. It's called Open Question, A Call to Inner Brilliance. So I wanted to make sure the listeners got a chance to hear that, and we'll post a link in the show notes, I guess, about how to find that information.
Thank you so much for mentioning that, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I should start with the meditation now?
Yeah.
Okay. So today, the meditation that I thought to do, I thought a lot about it, and I wanted to invite everyone to connect with the warmth of their own mind. So a lot of times when it comes to meditation practice, we talk a lot about kind of cultivating compassion or cultivating love. But sometimes our mind feels like a dry seed. And I want to address that because we have this longing to be loving and warm. And yet what happens when that doesn't arise? And how do we evoke or ignite that? That's always been a big question for me. And I think we can do that through our imagination. And I know that people are going through so much right now. And I think even just hearing the statistics around the virus every day is enough to make you feel kind of frozen or jagged or lonely or fearful. So in those kind of conditions, sometimes we can't access just this natural warmth. It's like a natural spring that's underground, but we need to find a way to access it. So this is almost like a pre-compassion or a pre-love thing that we're trying to access in ourselves. So what I think we'll do first is just for a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, I want to just bring people to their breath so that we can just calm the mind and bring ourselves present into the space that we're in. So first, just make sure when you're sitting, however you're sitting, just try to, if you don't assume a posture like now I am meditating, but more just allow your body to be relaxed, but with some energetic integrity. And then we're going to just do a few breaths. And in these first 3 breaths, I want to encourage you just to notice the sensations around your nostrils when the air is coming in and out. Very specific, very focused. So let's start. Let's just do 3. And now as you breathe in, notice the gaps between the in-breath and the out-breath. And let's just do 3 of those. Just that after you inhale and after you exhale, there's just a moment. Notice those. And now when you breathe in, let your whole body breathe. Let your whole body and mind just let some breeze, the breeze of your breath, go through all of that experience. And now include the environment of your room, or you can include your town, or you can include the whole world in your breath, just for a few breaths. So now I want to shift the meditation a little bit. Now I want to invite you to recall or imagine. This might imagine back, let's say, a moment or an event when somebody extended kindness to you, or warmth to you, or tenderness to you. So it could be a moment, when someone in your family extended to you. It could be a stranger, someone you had never met. Maybe somebody gave you their seat on the subway or invited you into the lane at the swimming pool during that crowded time, or just asked you if you were okay when you didn't feel well. Or it could even be an animal. It doesn't have to be a person. And just when the warmth comes from your imagination, from being in that situation, allow that to really touch you and let yourself feel that. And now I'm going to invite you to imagine one other thing. And imagine a moment or an event when you extended warmth or tenderness to someone else. Again, it could be a family member, someone you don't know, again, an animal. And then let yourself feel the warmth or the tenderness of that situation, your recollection of it. And then with that, close this little piece of the meditation in any way you want to. You can do a couple breaths, or you can just kind of express appreciation to yourself or to others, and just appreciate that we have this ability to access this aspect of mind that really changes the way we look at the world, that's not jagged, that's accessible to us, that we can find just simply through our imagination, through our recollection. And that's it. Simple.
That was beautiful. I have a question. It's something I wonder a lot in practice. Often, what happens if someone, or if we can connect intellectually to an instruction, so we can picture that time someone was caring to us or we were caring to them, but we don't necessarily feel a warm correlate in the body or anything? Mm-hmm. How important is it that that is there, and what happens if we don't? I can imagine people going, oh, I can do it intellectually, but it wasn't like I was feeling anything. How would you respond to those reports?
Yeah. Well, in a way, this whole thing is tempting to evoke that kind of warmth. But it's true. Sometimes, no matter what you do, your heart does feel like a dry seed, and there's something about that that's slightly painful. But along with that experience, there's a yearning for it. So I always think that the mind, our longing for happiness and to connect and to feel connected, it's kind of like when you put a plant near a window, it always kind of grows lopsided toward the light. I think human beings are like that. We're always yearning for it. And I always say to myself, because of course I have that same experience sometimes, that I'm touched by my own longing.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I can relate to the idea that there's a dried seed in my head.
Yeah, of course, we all feel that way sometimes. And this is the more you do it, the easier it is, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So there's a question actually related to this. This is from Dory, who says, I'm feeling burned out and my imagination isn't working. My sense of humor is also shot. How do I rekindle it?
Oh, well, I mean, sometimes we just have to accept that we feel the way we feel. And I think that in this tradition, there's never been anything said in any of the texts that you shouldn't feel the way you feel. In fact, we just have to accept the way we feel. Sometimes we don't even have agency to change our own feelings. So again, it's a little bit like what I just said to you. It's like in the end, yeah, sometimes I think just go watch a movie or take a nap. Just have a little bit of wine or something. Sometimes that's what you can do, because some of the feelings of just exhaustion and stuff, it's just physical, and that's totally fine, and it's extremely human. And then I would also go back to what you asked, and that whole idea of understand that you want to connect and you're doing your best, and just that's very touching. The human condition is a very touching thing. And I think if you asked anybody, would you rather feel jagged and unhappy and exhausted, or would you rather feel warm and connected? Everybody wants to feel warm and connected, and they want to lead a meaningful life, and we all have the potential for that. So you just wait and be patient, and it shifts like everything.
Yeah, I would. It's been helpful for me in my practice in life to, I guess I would say, naturalize the downs. That it's realizing that it's normal, just like there's ups, there's downs, and that those periods of downs are sort of like rest periods, where my body is just sort of, it hasn't got the energy, but it's restoring. It's kind of trying to nurture itself. And if I can, as being just fine, part of a natural part of life and practice, then that takes a lot of the sting out of them.
Yeah, I think it's very important to be gentle and kind to yourself and your body. Not, we think, being kind to yourself, we should be kind to others, but we forget to be kind to ourselves. But our self is also the object of our awareness. Like, why would we exclude that? You should be very, very gentle. And in these times, I think energetically, collectively, as a culture, as a global culture, there's a lot of fear in the air. There's just, you can feel it. Even here at Presto, I can feel it. You can just feel it. And we should just understand we're all going through this, and just, it's okay. So okay.
Yeah. So I got another question here from Brenda. I guess kind of speaking to that power of imagination, or the proactive side of imagination. And she's wondering, how can people who are single or live alone use imagination to feel less lonely?
Yeah, the question of connection is such an interesting one, because you can feel really disconnected in a crowd, and you can feel really connected when you're alone. And I'll just tell you a quick story. It's a really interesting story. So I was in retreat for many years, in a solitary retreat, and I lived up in the mountains in a little cabin with a big window. And the window, if I face the north, it looks really friendly in that direction. And when I looked toward the south, it was so lonely. Like there's all this kind of fog, or it just looked lonely to me. So I'd always look toward the north. And I was going through a period of time where I was just almost feeling this sense of despair and disconnected from everyone. And then I started to notice that I allowed a little bit of loneliness into the realm of my experience. So I started to shift my cushion day by day a little bit toward the south. And after a while, because I just was willing to include that within the realm of that loneliness within the realm of my being, I started to feel incredibly connected to the world. I've never been so connected to the world before that. And all of a sudden, I started to notice the ants on my deck, and the way the pine cones changed every day, like the different stages of growth, and where the moon was and where the sun was. And I just started feeling appreciation toward everything around me, and I didn't feel lonely.
Interesting. So you're saying when just through the act of accepting the loneliness itself, that sort of opens us up to this broader perspective or broader set of resources.
Yeah, we can't remove ourselves from the nature of interdependent connections. Even the air we breathe, the chair we sit on, the food we eat, and we can't live without others, the way the food comes toward us and so forth. It's all, we cannot be in isolation. We don't live in a vacuum, even in a cave, if we are in a cave dweller. We're still in a part of the great nature of dependent contingencies.
Well, this is so interesting. What about one more question here? It's from Lisita, who's basically saying that has always seen imagination as a bad thing as an adult. So how can she begin to use it as a tool for good things? So
Yeah,
it's
well,
something about the power of imagination.
yeah, and I really relate to this because your imagination can go crazy and you can get fearful and worry about the virus and worry about so many things in the future. And that's why I was trying to show this meditation because it's like technology. It can be destructive or it can be helpful. We have this tool to utilize, but we need to harness it. And every kind of meditation that you learn has an aspect of utilizing the imagination. So that's what I was trying to get across here. And I think, this is you can do this meditation with your children. You can ask them what you think. And it's like how you see the world. The world will start responding back, kind of like a mother looking at a baby. It's like you adore your baby and then the baby smiles and then it fills you with joy. And then the baby starts to laugh and you start to develop. You see the warmth in yourself and you see the warmth in others. And there's that kind of reciprocity. So this is something to cultivate. I think that's what I would say.
Amazing, Elizabeth. Been really nice having you on.
Yeah, nice to meet you all. Yeah.
It's great to get a little taste of Crestone here, spread it out to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Thank you.
So there are a few goodbye notes here. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been really great. 10% Happier has been nominated for 2 Webby Awards. So if you want to support the cause, all the viewers and listeners out there, then you can basically, I think there's a link in the episode description that you can use to vote. And feel free to share and subscribe to the 10% Happier YouTube channel and like this video and leave a comment if you want. And tomorrow, Dan will be back. You'll be happy to know. And he is interviewing the Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams, who's amazing. So that's going to be a good show. Tune in, everyone. Stay healthy, stay home, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again, Elizabeth. And thanks to the whole team.